Usually people are not attracted by your accolades, they're not attracted by your achievements, not attracted by your titles. People are attracted to your story. What makes you different and unique? So if you're able to share people your story, that's how you attract them. As to why they should care about what you care about. First thing when it comes to attraction is share your story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it. Because that's what makes you unique.
Official welcome to the Get Booked as a Speaker Bootcamp series. What is your calling and how do you share that with the world with your voice? When you are not clear on why you want to do something, the goalpost changes every single day, right? And you never see the progress of what you're doing because you never had goals or intentions set in the first place. Expertise is really like, not only do you know how to do something, but every time you execute on that knowledge, you have predictable results. Many of us recognize that, when it comes to breaking into the speaker circuit, you got to give to receive. And I wholly believe that, right? I do feel like you have to put in the time, put in the reps, and people will be able to engage with you for doing so. There's so many different challenges that you will face breaking into the speaker industry within your respective industry, community, or country, or field. But I always say, especially with the entrepreneurial spirit that I have, that with every challenge, there's always an opportunity. I want to repeat that again. With every challenge that you face when it comes to getting into the speaker circuit, there's always opportunities. Someone sent a comment to the thread yesterday. Christine, your content is really profound, but so simple. I'm like, yes, it is. Because simplicity scales, complexity kills. You are not the product. As beautiful as you are the package. You are the vessel for energy and power and grace, which means you got to create something of value for people to want to book you, to get you on these stages, get you contracted to speak in front of corporate clients, institutional clients, government clients, you name it. You need that signature talk. The goal is to get you in flow. Stop doing the stupid shit. I just want to put that out there. Stop doing shit you don't like. Just stop, right? Step into your greatness. Do the damn thing, right? There's things that you guys are really good at that you are avoiding because you don't want people to judge you. You don't want people to say anything. You don't want people to say something. Just stop. Put yourself in a position for opportunity. Be yourself. People will resonate with that more. For many of you, I know you have things that, you are going through so much in your life, in your career, but are you taking a step back to take the lessons to move you to the next level of your career, the next breakthrough that you need to get into? What are you learning from those mistakes? And what are you learning from the reinvention that comes from that evolution? If you want to make withdrawals, you got to make deposits. What's your plan? How are you going to find speaking engagements? And I always tell people, you got to make life easier for yourself and have a hot, warm, and cold approach, right? First, start following up with people who already know you. I already said this to you guys already. You are one speaking engagement away from a career breakthrough. Why wait? This is your moment. This is your time. Sometimes you being the exotic, different person in the room makes you automatically the unique opportunity that you need. Don't let these online gurus fool you thinking that you need to have a lucrative speaker topic in order to get booked. There are problems in every facet of people's lives. So people are going to need your expertise across different ranges. So open your mind to multiple opportunities. Once you start getting into the speaker circuit, once you get the gig, deliver the opportunity and create new opportunities. And I always tell people there's a window of time where everybody in the world wants to meet you. Enjoy. You guys got to give me the opportunity to do what I love to do, which is teach, share vulnerable, powerful, effective insights. Thank you so much for joining me for the 5-day Get Booked as a Public Speaker Bootcamp, so you can launch your career and accelerate your milestones, accelerate your goals. I want you to step into a new 2025. Let's move this conversation forward. Let's continue forward. I wish you guys all the best. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys on the other side of the Paid Speaker Career Accelerator program. It's my final invitation to you. And for those of you who've been a part of this 5-day live, thank you so much for everything that you've given into this. I know I had an amazing time. Thank you so much. And to that, cheers to your success. I'm only expecting great, phenomenal news from each and every one of you. Go out there and let's go get them. Bye, guys.
But this world, as big as it is, one person can be the tipper scale to really create a domino effect that no one ever seen coming. I would like to remind people, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to judge you and tell you you're too naive.
Christine and Tim.
Christine Sofran Nitin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So hello and welcome back to the Paid Speaker Business Accelerator. Excited to be back for day 2. Many of you have known that this is a multi-day bootcamp experience. I've done this now. This is my second year doing this. I've been running this program and it's just been an amazing opportunity to be able to get on a conversation call with all of you and share with you not only my journey to hitting over 300 plus global stages around the world in my decade as a global speaker, but also sharing with you the path to be able to replicate, if not the same, but even better and more attuned success. So I'm really excited to be here with all of you. By introduction, my name is Christine and Tim. I am a speaker, 3-time founder, and a personal brand leadership strategist. And my mission is to help entrepreneurs build with purpose. And I'm so excited to be able to provide a conversation of very direct, tactical knowledge around something that I think when it comes to the personal branding conversational layers, people don't really address. And I think right now we need more thought leaders on stages. We need more female speakers, more diverse speakers. We need more powerful stories on stage to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. And this is part of the reason why I decided to do this 2 years ago, say like, hey, what if I got on for 3 days straight and shared everything I wish I knew before kicking off my speaker career. And so here we are, vulnerable and open and candid. And so thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to do a brief recap on yesterday. Some of you have been DMing the account, emailing us saying, hey, where's the replay from day one? As shared, replays are only up for 24 hours and then they are gone. If you want access to the replay indefinitely, yes, you could be a VIP. Just upgrade. The team will be able to connect with you. Just comment replay and the team will be able to share the replay link with you in that way. However, for those of you who are ready to get started, you are live and ready to go, let's start this conversation. So I like to be very transparent in terms of the pathway that I like to take you on for this experience. And so I do this every year because I recognize that the world has shifted. People have, invested in different ways of improving themselves in many ways in terms of being public speakers. And so I wanted to be able to, first and foremost, set the tone of making sure that you are aware how the industry has shifted. Yesterday, I went over trends, transitions, and ways that people are getting booked to be paid speakers, how to position yourself. And I shared with you that it's really important that you understand not only my approach to get paid speaking engagements, but also my business model. And so if we are on the same accord and you feel like this is a strategy that you want to apply to replicate the same success, then I will invite you to work with me in a deeper capacity. And really the next immediate steps, because I get this question every time I do these lives. Okay, how do I work with you? How do I get started? How do I take action on this? How do I go beyond the technical knowledge that you shared with us and really put this into practice? The next best way to work with me next to get this in place is through the paid speaker incentive that we are doing this weekend. So this Saturday will be 3 hours. I'm going to sit down with you and help you create and launch your signature talk. We're going to talk about signature talks today because it's such a crucial part of the puzzle of getting paid speaking engagements. It's something that's completely changed not only my speaking career, but my entire life in terms of recognition, opportunities, partnership deals, the acceleration of my business. I mean, it has been the game changer. 20 minutes has completely changed my life entirely. So I will share with you more details around how to do that. And of course, if you want to go in a deeper capacity and understand the full behind the scenes of how I manage my speaker business with my team and I to get paid bookings every single year, then you are welcome to join us for the Paid Speaker Accelerator. If you have any questions, comment paid speaker and the team will follow up with you. So as I stated before, this Saturday, again, I'm only doing this initiative once this year. So this bootcamp, I am not doing it again this year. I will do it maybe in the future next year. I am downsizing and simplifying our offerings under, Christina, Tim & Co. And so if you have any questions beyond this point, please put them on the chat. I want to answer as many questions as possible because we are going forward, feed this conversation on how to get paid to speak in our personal brand business school initiative. So more on that if you have questions. But essentially, this Saturday, I'm going to actually sit down with a group of 10 people or less. It has to be a small size because I am going to be troubleshooting with you, looking at your LinkedIn profile, looking at your background, help you to really tease out of all the topics that you can speak on, which is the best one for the market based on your background and expertise and your know-how, and really craft that into a proposal that really makes sense for you to start, really reaching out and being a magnet for opportunities at the institutional level. A lot of you are still playing small. I want you to hit the big time. I want you to start getting those 5-figure offer deals for speaking engagement. So this is what this intensive is all about. This Saturday from 11 to 2 p.m., phenomenal opportunity. I'm going to share more details with you at the end of this call. But if you want to have access to that, I put it in the comments, I believe, for you guys to have access to that. Is truly an amazing opportunity for for you to be able to work with me in depth. Again, only less than 10 spots for that because I need time to be able to go back and forth with you and help you, really craft your signature talk message. Okay. But without further ado, let's kick off session 2 of the Paid Speaker Accelerator Bootcamp. And today we're going to follow up from what we talked about from yesterday. So yesterday was all around positioning. And I admitted that, look, I've seen a huge trend online of more and more people are recognizing how important it is to have a positioning statement to introduce yourself, right? Especially in the digital space, whether it be on your website, whether it be on your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you show up online, a positional statement will set you apart. And so it's good that many of you are aware of that. And especially as a speaker, you got to be very clear. Who do you help? What do you do? And why do you do it? This intro statement really helps the referral process for institutional decision makers to be able to clearly summarize your value proposition against their, KPIs, what they need, what type of experts they need to come in-house and know that you're the right person for the job. So for those of you who are still introduced to yourself as I'm the CEO of this, I'm the, VP of this, I'm a this, that, titles don't work for people to understand your value. You need to have a positioning statement. So we went over that yesterday. Alongside, we had a big conversation around the trends that's completely shifting the speaker industry and why you are not only poised for opportunity, but why now more than ever you have to find that alignment and clarity in the thought leadership and expertise that you have to be able to go out to market. So with that said, for day 2 today, I want to nail this conversation on what do you speak on? So some of you have said, like, look, I want to be able to get paid to speak. I want to be able to get these opportunities. I want to be able to, speak at TEDx, go to the UN, do all these amazing things. And then a lot of times I ask and I say, hey, well, what do you speak on? And I get usually a reaction like, well, it kind of gets the crickets where people don't know how to answer that question. And it's so crazy because I get a number of responses and usually people fall into 2 different camps when I ask this question, what do you speak on? Either person A, versatile, they speak on a lot of different things. They have a whole range of topics that they can speak on. So especially for my entrepreneurs, they can speak on the industry that they're disrupting. They can speak on their background. They can speak on, gender challenges. They can speak on political issues. They can speak on a number of different things. And that's usually the first camp. The second camp is usually in a very limited space. I find a couple of people say, well, I usually speak on one topic and I have a title. So an expert on personal branding, and I speak specifically how to monetize your personal brand with a sustainable business model, right? And that's specifically where they speak on. And I'm like, oh, but do you speak on this? I'm like, yeah, I could touch upon that, but this is specifically where I speak on. So with that said, with these 2 different camps, who do you think gets paid more in the speaker circuit? Who do you feel like gets more opportunities, more bookings, more engagements? And if you said person B, which is the second person, you would be correct. And for those of you who are like confused, or like, hey, why is it like that? Why is this a thing? Why is the second person who limited themselves by perception to one way of communication? Why is that? And it's because simplicity works best. When it comes to referrals for booking engagements, you need to hire Sarah, for example. She's the expert on burnout prevention. Not Sarah, who speaks on leadership, communication, marketing, AI, business growth, productivity, and personal development. Listen, you may not realize that you are the second person who is speaking on multiple things because maybe you're not saying that indirectly. But if people are seeing you discuss and jump around different topic areas, they don't know where to place you and where to bucket you. I know we live in a season where everyone wants to say, I cannot be defined by one thing. I'm versatile, I'm this, and that is great. But I always tell people, especially in the personal brand business school, that you want to be able to hit a home run first. And when you're able to hit that home run, then you can start to expand in other arenas because people know you and have confidence in your ability to execute in one lane, one area, and is able to see potential of you accelerating growth and opportunity. With my phone. And pretty much like just real execution and traction in other arenas as well. So this is the reason why, when you look at these 2 different camps, you want to be Sarah. the expert who's known for a specific thing where people could literally go to. That doesn't mean that you drop everything out, right? In personal brand business school, we tell you how to layer different thought leadership categories that you could be placed in, but you have to be known for one thing. And this is where the signature talk comes in. It does by any means does not limit your career. It actually accelerates it. Okay. Now, why am I talking about this today? All right. It's because what we have found in working with dozens of entrepreneurs over the years, right, is that most entrepreneurs create talks on what they know. This is their expertise, these are the experiences, and then kind of craft a talk or craft, subject matter discussions around what they know in their head, which is makes sense. Like you're trying to impart and download your wisdom and give it out to the public. Okay, that makes sense. However, successful speakers in the industry who are getting booked and paid on a regular basis, we all know that just downloading what you know is not enough to get visibility. And by any means, it actually hurts you because you just sound like a person who's like an old man with just stories to tell, right? On a stage, right? That's really how you come off as. But if you want to be a successful speaker in this circuit, you need a signature talk, because with a signature talk, you don't become just another generic speaker. You become a category leader. Now, I'm going to share a story with you because I think to drill this home, I had a client who was really pissed off, and she was just like, look, I am always getting standard ovations every time I do a keynote, every time I do a fireside chat, anytime I do a panel discussion, I get the best applause, the best reactions. People really resonate with what I have to say. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you speak on? Of course, she told me she speaks on different topics, but she's listed about 4 or 5 different areas that she speaks on. And I said, okay, that's pretty cool. Well, why do you speak on these topics? Like, when you speak on these topics, what are you saying? Like, and she tells me some of the feedback that she stated on different events. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, elaborate on that. So she gave me an example, she talks on business leadership, how to be a business leader in a chaotic world. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. What examples, what IP do you have around that? She's like, oh, well, I talk about, business is hard right now. This is what you need to do. And these are the things that you need to get done. I'm like, so what frameworks do you have? Can anyone replicate that? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you're giving comments, but like, as much as it sounds nice to say that on stage, and I think, yes, people will applaud, it validates a lot of concerns that people have. What do they do with that information? And she just stood there and she didn't know what to say. And I said, that's the problem. People are always going to invite you to come on stage and say it for free, things that people want to hear, right? Because, look, it creates a great experience for their audience, but they won't pay you just to give a contribution. They're going to pay you to give clarity. And it stuck with her, the difference between giving a contribution on stage versus clarity, because clarity takes more work. When you're providing clarity, you're helping people to have a structure, a blueprint, a framework, a way of seeing a methodology to take where they came in as and leave a different person's. Whereas contribution is you're contributing to the dialogue, you're adding to the conversation, yet albeit a great contribution, it's still a contribution. Does that make sense? And so for many of you, you don't realize that you are stuck in the free speaker invitation circuit, that I call it the free speaker invitation circuit, because you keep giving contributions. You're not elevating the conversation to provide clarity. And that's what people want to pay for. People want to pay for you being able to take people from a different point of when they came in. Does that make sense? And so with that said, that conversation completely just effed her up for like days. She came back, she's like, Christine, like, how do I find clarity in what I speak on? This is where I started sharing with her the frameworks that we undergo, at the Paid Speaker Accelerator, to be able to find your signature talk, create a conversation that really takes that level, and create an IP that separates you from the competition. But prior to that conversation, she never had a tangible moment to really shift her personal brand from market leadership when it comes to her speaking topic, right? And that was the first moment that she realized, oh, that's why my peers are getting booked. They may not have more expertise than me, but they have taken the time to sit down and find that clarity in themselves to provide that clarity to the public, okay? Now, If you don't believe me and you feel you're so frustrated, yesterday we talk about certain challenges that you guys are facing. This is not fluff. This is real time effing you up when it comes to getting access to real paid engagements. I'm just being blunt and New Yorker out the blue right now. Okay. You need to understand that the positioning challenges that you are experiencing is because you don't know clearly what you want to speak about. Your expertise feel a little bit too broad. So what happens, like event organizers don't really know how to refer you up, how to, talk about you. There's not a clear message. So it's really hard to say you stand out from the crowd. There's no differentiating factor at all, right? So what happens is like you just become a person that they could just add to the lineup, and that's someone that they need in the lineup. See the difference? They can add you, they don't need you, right? So that's the reason why, again, some of you guys are on the free speaker circuit. I've been there before in the beginning of my speaker career. When I made this shift in understanding, let me focus on one thing that I could build on, that could add clarity and alignment and vision and value around, it changed everything. Because when that position and challenge is tackled, what happens is that this whole booking challenge that you guys are having, where people don't know what topic they should place you on, they don't know what, some of you don't even know what should your keynote about. I get this every time. Well, I can speak on multiple topics. I don't know what to choose, right? If you are having this internal dilemma within yourself, if you are going through this, topic crisis of decision making internally, how do you think you look to the public? Of course, you're not going to get paid speaking engagements because you have not found that clarity. Now, for some of you say, well, Christine, I kind of know what I want to speak on. I actually have a speaker topic. Okay, well, have you put that out there? Have you solidified that? I've had people who have went as far as like they have a signature talk topic and a title that they would consider printing out to the public. And I'm like, okay, where can I find this? And it's nowhere to be found, which leads me to my next challenge is that a lot of you, when you go out to public, you don't actually talk about your thought leadership. You talk about yourself. And I get it. It's the best way to be able to align and connect with others. But I need you to stop, introducing yourself and thinking that you want to be known for your biography and not for your solution. A lot of times when people are pitching themselves, and we get, pitch DMs and emails all the time for our own events, they pitch their accomplishments, their credentials, and their resume. Oh, she's a Forbes, she's been featured in Forbes. She's been able to hit $1 million out. And that used to work. Like, I just want to say this, okay? Because I've been in the industry for over 10 years. That used to work. I used to be able, my team and I used to be able to literally send email blasts with Forbes 30 and 30 in the subject line is speaker available. And that used to get me bookings all the time. That was all you needed. But now, to be honest with you, almost everyone has accomplished this. To give you an analogy to this, a generation ago, if you had a college degree, you were shoo-in for a lot of jobs on the market because not a lot of people had college degrees, let alone master's degrees. We are now a generation where so many people have college degrees. Now it's like kind of like a baseline requirement and not a differentiator anymore. So what's happened is the same thing. So many people are coming into the market. So many people are more aware of how important it is to build their personal brand that almost everyone knows how to market their accomplishments, their credentials, and their resume. So you can no longer differentiate yourself just by the accolades. Now, again, there are some accolades that are out of the park. I get that. Like, I've definitely expressed, me being on the Forbes list, me speaking for State Department, me being able to have worked with heads of states from around the world. There are some accomplishments that I was like, wow, like this is a standout candidate, but it's still not enough. It just makes you, again, someone will remember you. You have a stellar background and biography, but not the solution you provide. You want to be known for the problem that you could solve, the outcome you could create, and the transformation you can deliver. And by transformation, it's not just enough to have a problem and an outcome with your topic leadership, but how you deliver that on stage. A lot of people don't realize that there are some cuckoos out there and that should not be on stage. Right? So some of you might think that, okay, I have the right expertise, but you don't know how to deliver. And this is something that we talk about in the intensive this Saturday about how to create the problem outcome and how to actually create that delivery of transformation for the audience that's listening to you. So for here, the second thing that I would say that a lot of you probably struggle with is shifting your personal brand for value instead of just visibility, not shine the spotlight on yourself where everyone's talking about you, your bio, your credentials, and it's just amazing. And how can you make other people elevate because of what you're going to tell. We have a quote like, obviously, to whom much is given, much is expected, right? How are you elevating other people around you with those accolades? Because if you're just, achieving and there's no one that could really benefit for that, it's really just all about you, right? So there's no benefit for the audience to learn from you if that's all you could preach out. You have not turned that into something that could solve actual issues for an audience. Okay. Now, with that said, just to double down on this point, a lot of you are struggling with marketing yourself to the public, which indirectly, leads to sales challenges, right? Because if you are inconsistent with how you show up online, if you are inconsistent with the audience that you try to target, it's very hard for you to know what to charge. It's very hard for you to say, this is my speaker fee. It's very hard for you to say, okay, you got a premium keynote that deserves to be on stage. That's why some of you are not even invited to be keynote speakers. You're invited to be on panels. And there's nothing wrong with panels, but you're invited to be on sideline events and just not really major stages. And this is something that we try to shift for you in the intensive, because we try to help you craft that signature talk that's premiumly positioned. Because at the end of the day, I do believe that almost every entrepreneur who's building something worthwhile has a significant thing that they could tackle in people's lives based on their experience as an entrepreneur. And one thing is to position yourself as a speaker so people can see that you are available for speaking. It's another thing to create a signature talk that resonates, that really helps audiences. And that second part, it really requires due diligence and a sit down of you really being reflective and finding alignment with your experiences into one tangible offer that you could provide the public. And that's really what a signature talk is. It's a product offer in the speaking industry of you packaging your expertise in a way that people can resonate and leverage in their own everyday dilemmas, if that makes sense. Okay. So with that said, ultimately, you will be able to tackle any revenue challenge that you have experienced in the past when it comes to paid speaking and opportunities. So you'll be able to stop speaking for visibility and start generating revenue. You'll stop, and there's nothing wrong with doing free opportunities. I still do free opportunities every single year. I have a quota on it, and it's usually aligned with causes that matter to me within my community. But regardless, some of you, that's all you do is say yes to free opportunities because you have no strategy, right? So now you'll be able to have a strategy to put yourself out there. And the most important thing I always tell entrepreneurs, because personal branding is such a huge thing for me, has again changed my life. Me being very clear about my personal branding strategy has made me understand that paid speaking is just a gateway to multiple opportunities that your personal brand can take on, right? Because a lot of you are leaving consulting, coaching, training, partnership opportunities, and podcast opportunities, so many different great, phenomenal milestone career opportunities on the table because your message is not clear when it comes to a 20-minute signature talk. That's all it takes that could change your career. A 20-minute talk can truly define your entire career, right? So that's the reason why step 2, all right, is the productization of your experience. Now, if you have questions so far, please put them in the comment. But the goal here is to have one signature message and a talk that will be your default product to close consistent institutional clients. Notice that I said institutional clients. I mentioned this yesterday, that a lot of you are only targeting event and conference organizers. You are not looking at institutional players who are constantly in need of experts to come in-house to do thought leadership exercises and facilitations and workshops and keynotes and sessions with their constituents. So for me, before all this, because I've been in the game for over a decade, when I stopped speaking on multiple topics and landed on my signature talk was Entrepreneurship Without Borders. And if you Google that right now, you'll see that it's like a very common topic amongst universities, amongst corporate institutions, amongst government institutions. But 10 years ago, it was not a big topic, okay? And what you see there, if you Google it right now, just the topic in itself, these are my typical type of target clients. And this is something that we talk about in the intensive this Saturday, the target clients that actually match your signature talk, because some of you are aiming and talking to the wrong people. Remember, we mentioned this yesterday. You need to be have your signature talk match the right target clients. That's how you get that repetition consistent, because you found the sweet spot between who actually needs your talk and who and where your signature talk will lie, right? And so with that said, you know, if you Google this topic, you will see that, you know, these are typical client lists that I reach out to. And if you Google my name along that topic, you will see all the different places that I've spoken on to give that signature talk. At the World Bank, I've done an interview at CNBC. I've been able to, you know, travel with the U.S. State Department to different countries across the African continent, South America, all around the world with this talk. So this has been 10 years in a row now. This is still one of my bread and butter signature talks I still get booked on, Entrepreneurship Without Borders, especially in this day and age where more and more entrepreneurs want to build resiliency around a global business, right? And so what I did here is that I can speak on multiple different topics, yes, but I created a product around a signature talk conversation that was my default when I'm being introduced to opportunities. When people want to reach out to me and say, Christine, we have, you know, a youth crisis going on right now in this country. We need to inspire the young people to build and start businesses, and we need them to know that they can start it from anywhere in the world. Who's the expert that we know who could talk about entrepreneurship in a way that's inspiring, in a way that's practical, and in a way that really signifies that you could build around the world in real time? Christine and Tim is the first person they think of. Right? And so you want to be that person that people think of when it comes to those layers of expertise around a particular conversation. And let me tell you this, when you focus down on a signature talk, not only is it easier for you to get booked, but probably the best thing for you internally from an operational standpoint, especially when we live in a day and age where it's so easy to get overwhelmed. It's so easy to get overconsumed. A signature talk gets stronger every time you deliver it. So what happens is that you start to deliver that transformation better and better and better. Every presentation fills in because even though you're performing the same topic, you're customizing it based on the audience that you're speaking. So my Entrepreneurship Without Border talk to the T right now is about 37 slides. Okay, 37 slides. Give or take sometimes 35 if I add the contact page, right? And there's about 8 to 9 slides that I change on a regular that is customized to the client in terms of like case studies, examples. So for example, Entrepreneurship Without Borders, I get booked at universities all the time for that. So I have spoken at Dartmouth, I've spoken at Columbia, I've spoken at Pomona, I've spoken at Washington State University. Like I have spoken at countless different Canadian universities. I can go on and on and on at all the different universities I've given that signature talk in front of, because a lot of these universities have entrepreneurship departments. They have powerful departments where alumni, where they need to inspire entrepreneurs, how to build great companies. So I give that talk there. And so in that talk, the framework of the message is still there, but a lot of my case studies are ones of people who are in college, who are in universities, so that way it resonates with the audience better, sometimes even specifically for that client, for that universities. That same talk, I have given it for global government. So I have been hired at, you know, national level to come into countries like Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Brazil. Am I missing any of them? Like there's so many countries. By the way, I've traveled and spoken at over 60 different countries. Malaysia, I've spoken in as well with this topic, where they come in and they say like, hey, we need you to speak to young entrepreneurs who are unemployed, but we need them to turn to entrepreneurship. So the case study example is still the same framework, signature talk, but the case study examples I provide is one that's more at the national level, right? Examples of entrepreneurs who are launching businesses from the street market, from launching businesses in a retail market, launching businesses online. Like it resonates more at a nationalistic feel for that keynote conversation. And then of course, I've done that same talk at corporate institutions. So you name it in the tech industry. So whether it's be Facebook, Meta, LinkedIn, I've spoken at LinkedIn, right? Where I'm giving that not so much for the employees to be entrepreneurs, but for the employees to understand the innovation ecosystem that's out there and why we need to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. So it's Entrepreneurship Without Borders, but how does the corporate sector in the tech industry support innovation and fuel that back into the corporate ecosystem? And so 3 different target clients, same signature talk, but you see how I'm able to customize it for each client in a way that resonates with their audience, give them a tangible ROI, give them a tangible outcome. And literally I can follow up like, 3 to 6 months from the signature talk and say, hey, what's going on with the company, or what's going on with your students, or what's going on with, with the attendees. And many times the follow-up is like, can you do a workshop? The follow-up, can you do an accelerator program? The follow-up is, can you do a multi engagement program? It's like there's always a follow-up to it for people to implement what I shared in the 20-minute keynote. So you get better every single time, but also you are literally seeing the benefit of your thought leadership in real time because you're able to execute on following up on that every single time. So my signature talk has always been around, okay, if it's entrepreneurship without borders, which has been for the past decade, how do I continue to up, the relevancy of this topic, especially with the rise of AI? How do I keep getting better and better with this conversation? So you see there, like now I don't have to burn out doing 20 different topics, 20 different PowerPoint slides. I have one talk that I get better and better and better at. And it's funny, it all feeds into each other because I become more expert on the topic because now I'm addressing different markets, different clients, different ecosystems, different time zones, and different versions of myself as I speak about this topic over the years, right? So it becomes more and more personal, more and more lively, more and more sincere, and more authentic because it becomes a part of my DNA of communicating and having this conversation in real time with the audiences I'm serving. So that's where you want to get to. You're making an impact when you're getting to that point where this is now a part of you, where you could talk freely about this topic over and over and over. And the joy is actually getting a different client to apply it in a unique way and still producing the same results. Okay. And so with that said, I want to come back to this business model that I shared with you all. And I want to take a moment to allow you guys, ask any questions that you may have. But the point is that yesterday I shared candidly and freely that this is the business model that my team and I use, okay, to be able to get consistent paid speaking engagements coming through the door. Okay. This is now, fluff. I'm not trying to gatekeep. This is literally what we do. Okay. And essentially what changed my entire career was recognizing that once I have a product for the speaking industry, which is a signature talk, everything else got easier. Okay. So yesterday we talked about positioning and purpose statement. Today we're talking about the signature talk because this is the product that you need to start really putting yourself out there. Okay. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how to create a thought leadership calendar because some of the reasons why your peers or your competitors are getting booked a lot more than you is because they're top of mind. And let me say this. I am a 3-time founder. I am a global speaker, and I'm also a wife and a mother of 5. I do not believe in hustle culture. I do not believe in burnout culture. I do not believe in hustling like a crazy maniac, posting 30 times a day. I am not of that ilk. I believe in creating tangible value once or twice a week, and that's all you need to stay top of mind. So tomorrow we'll talk about that thought leadership calendar, but the important thing you need to understand here is that if you come on live 15 minutes a week and share your thought leadership around your signature talk, you become top of mind. And there's ways to accelerate visibility with, institutional buyers for your signature talk, like tagging them, DM them, engaging with them so that way they can see your talk. But the point is that regardless of the hacking strategies around getting maximum visibility around your thought leadership, this is so much easier to do. Right. And what happens is like when you're able to really care deeply about your signature talk, care deeply about this value proposition that you can provide different audiences. I shared with you yesterday, the tipping point is that now you could give a proposal that actually creates value for the target client and rinse and repeat this to the point that you have a pipeline that continuously converts and adds value to you as a speaker, but also to the audiences that you serve. So one thing I wanted to conclude with today is actually share with you in real time how this looks like behind the scenes. Okay. So what I have with my clients, and we go over this structure in the Paid Speaker Accelerator program, is called the speaker booking hour. It's like, once a week, we spend 1 hour making sure that we are top of mind and making sure that we are positioning ourselves for speaking engagements at scale on a consistent basis, because you don't want to be beholden to the fact that maybe someone will see you. You don't want to just wait for opportunities. You want to create opportunities on a daily basis. And this weekly intervention for 1 hour minimum per week can change on that. So for me, it's on Wednesdays. So today we already are working on our speaking booking hour. We usually do it between 10 and 11. So I'll check in with the team if they be able to finish it. But the thing is, it's like on a weekly basis, every Wednesday, we divide it up in 60 minutes in this way. So I already told you we have a signature talk that we go out to market with. So I share with you Entrepreneurship Without Borders. This is the reason why speaking on multiple topics will really confuse you and really doesn't help you succeed in this endeavor. But having one signature talk, which is your product, you are able with that, make sure that it's placed in the right setting so people know that you're known for that signature talk. So make sure it's on your website, make sure it's on your LinkedIn under the experience section. We talked about that yesterday. Make sure I am listed in several speaker databases and speaker platforms. Make sure it's listed there. And what you do to reinforce that digital presence that you place in these areas is to make sure that every month you have a calendar, routine of reinforcing the signature talk. So what I usually do is I have webinars sometimes once a week. So in a month, there's 4 weeks in a month. So every week I'm talking around that topic, but then one of those weeks I'm doing the keynote and intensive. So what I do my 20-minute keynote live virtually, yes, on my own platform. And I talk about how people can apply it. So, for example, my signature talk is Entrepreneurship Without Borders. And so for about, 3 of the 4 weeks of a month, I'm talking about entrepreneurship, leadership, how to build a business. So I'm staying around the thematic realm of building a global business. And on the 4th week, I actually do Entrepreneurship Without Borders and give a tangible application of where it's relevant and why it's important. So the last one I did was on artificial intelligence and actual entrepreneurial leadership. Okay. And so what happens is that you're not only reinforcing to the market your thought leadership around that, you're tackling it from different angles, but it gives you internal practice to keep doubling down on your signature talk with something that you fully control, which is your LinkedIn page. That's where I do it. And it has been phenomenal for me. And you got to understand, even if someone wanted to ignore you, they can, right? Because that visibility alone gets people to just remember you, see you. You get to practice and make yourself perfect at this conversation. But the point is that you're constantly publishing content around this, not by just posting in social media that just dissipates within a couple minutes, but actual live video so they can see your your cadence, your energy, your flow, your structure. It really helps a lot. Now, in terms of positioning, remember we talked about positioning, your positioning statement yesterday. Again, that should be placed on your website, your LinkedIn, social media channels, what have you. But again, calendar-wise, you should always at least once or twice be leveraging that introduction in introductions at networking events, introductions at your podcast, introductions at an event that you're hosting. So I speak and attend global activation events every single year. So I'm always at World Economic Forum. I'm always at the UN General Assembly Week. I'm always at sometimes at South by Southwest, right? Any place that I'm at, I double down on that positioning statement, not only for myself to build my inner confidence about who I am, who I serve, and why I do it, but also so that way I'm kind of creating a referral mill, because I can't tell you how many times I've met people at different places and I keep reinforcing that intro statements and it's come back as an opportunity weeks later, months later, years later. It is crazy, right? And so again, positioning is digital, where you make sure it's placed at different places, but reinforcing it in a calendar format where this month, how many events am I attending? Okay, 2 of them. How many podcasts am I doing interviews with? 2 of them. And if you are on a sabbatical where you're not going to any event, make sure that you're doubling down on your publishing side, right? But essentially, as an entrepreneur, you're always going to be out there in some capacity having a stakeholder conversation if you're really positioning yourself as an entrepreneurial leader. So this positioning is non-negotiable, okay? Now, proposal, this is something that we're going to be discussing for the bonus session on Friday for our VIP guests. If you're not a VIP guest, upgrade to VIP so you could be able to have access to that. But on Friday, we are literally going to be talking about proposal, how to turn your speaker topic into a proposal, a one to 2 page proposal that actually gets booked. I'll put it in the comments here if you want to upgrade for Friday's bonus sessions, where we go specifically help you to be able to do that. It's a really great opportunity for you to do that. Let me see this question here. see a comment on. I'm going to come back to that in the questions. But this is a great opportunity for you to be able to get that information, to be able to turn your, you have your signature talk, but also be able to now turn that into a proposal for corporate clients, institutional clients to be able to say, hey, I want to work with you. That makes sense. Like, how do you be able to engage? And that proposal, sorry, I don't know why there's a background noise. That proposal is able to help you to be able to stay targeted. I've seen people really spray and pray against speaking engagements that I'm telling you is hurting your brand. What you want, and this is what we go over in the Paid Speaker Accelerator program, is like we give you a target of like 3 to 5 clients, institutional clients that you should be reaching out to. So probably like, in the government sector, these topics. In the corporate sector, corporate is probably the biggest one. And so we talk about different departments you should be reaching out to and the target outreach. And so in that 20-minute part of the speaker booking hour that we talk about for the structure, in that 20-minute window, we make sure that you reach out to at least 10 people. And by reach out, sometimes it's like tagging them on LinkedIn, engaging them, comment with them, some type of engagement, or adding. And we do this sometimes, this week it might be you're just adding 100 decision makers that you, onto your network on LinkedIn, that you want to be top of mind awareness for them to get to know you. It could be, commenting on 20 people. The point is that there's target clients that you engage with. And in that 20-minute window, you're just engaging. So that's during the proposal period, where you make sure that 1 to 2 page document, not in the form of a document, but in the form of a summary, is placed on your website, on your LinkedIn, on your speaker pages, or databases. And so that way people know, okay, this is what she's talking about, this is the ROI, this is the audience that she served. But you also, again, have a routine calendar to engage people, to kind of trigger top of mind awareness. Okay. And by the way, when you start doing this speaker and booking hour, it gets easier and easier every time. I've seen people do this where their output is crazy. The first time I was able to share the framework and business model around this, we were sharing with people how to do this 1 hour per day, but we realized over time, if you are able to do this once a week, it really does create really great, feedback loops and opportunities for you and your profile. And last but not least, pipeline. This is probably the most important one. Having a tangible routine with following up with different opportunities. So week 1 could be following up with past clients. So I have over 100 different like institutional clients. Even though I've spoken at 300 different events, those institutional clients, around 180 of them, have had repeated events. So I'm able to follow up with them to go back to speak at their events, speak at their programs, do a workshop facilitation. So follow up with your past client list. If you have spoken at any event, one of the biggest things that we talk to our clients when they come through the door is make a list of every single place that you have spoken at, even if it was for free, even if it was for 5 minutes, even if it was like back in the day. Make a list of every single place that you have spoken at. So that previous client list is golden. And I can speak more on that in the Q&A, how you can leverage that. But a lot of people misrepresent that gold mine of opportunity from there. Week number 2 could be discovery call potential of 100 people. So there's a lot of ways for you to like get on 10-minute discovery calls with potential clients who might want your talk. There's something that we discussed in the intensive on Saturday. But the point is that you should be having discovery calls with potential buyers, because if at the 5-figure level, when people are paying 8K, 10K and above, they need to have a conversation with you. And then week 3 could be referral requests. I do this all the time. So, speakers, we talk. We're in the green rooms together. We get to know each other. A lot of times these speakers can't come back for the same event. And so this is where you got to be networking with other speakers to be able to refer you in, or event organizers. So there should be always you putting out feelers for people like, can you make an introduction? Can you put me in? Or if you can't make an introduction, because I know the market has shifted. People don't like making introductions the same way they used to, because people are batshit crazy, right? You could ask them questions like, okay, what would be the best way to get on this person's radar? Give me feedback on this person so that way I can approach them in the right way. All of that works, in a very great way. And then the last week is like cold outreach, LinkedIn engage. This is where we show with you an entire strategy on how to use LinkedIn to get paid speaking engagement. It is a phenomenal structure to be able to get visibility as quickly as possible with potential decision makers at the institutional level. So this is the speaker booking hour, where this business model framework is not just like some some pop-up that I put up there with AI. This is literally the business model for my speaker business, where how I get paid to speak on a regular basis. And this is how we put it into practice. So I wanted to share that tangibly so that you could see how in real time we take 1 hour a week. And this is a structure that we show you how to implement with templates, structures, and feedback, and customize with you in the Paid Speaker Accelerator, where we share with you how to do this. Now, those of you who are in the VIP intensive, VIP bonus session on Friday, you will get a copy Word document, not only of the Speaker Booking Hour framework that I'm sharing here with you today, but also some of the templates of how we actually execute on that power hour to execute on that goal. And this by far always keeps you in the limelight for paid speaking engagements, because again, you will have information on your signature talk that you could go out to market with to actually have the closing and the deals. A lot of people, they start pitching people based on, again, their biography. We talked about this. Let me go back early today. We pitched their accolades and their achievements, and they wonder why, for some reason, they're not getting booked to speak. It's because you have not provided the actual product that is needed and required to get paid gigs, which is their signature talk. And with that, product, that's when you can actually execute on the Speaker Booking Hour on a regular basis and actually monetize your expertise at scale. This is a solution that you've been looking for, because a lot of you, it's so sad that no one has told you that this is the reason why people are not engaging with you. And let me say this, I'm not saying that you need to get paid to speak because it's sleazy. I'm saying that, you want to be able to add a tangible ROI for the audiences that you serve, and you want to sustain that growth. Because let me tell you something, if you speak at different events for free, it's not only costing you money, it's costing you mental exact time, it's burnout 101, right? You want to be able to position yourself in a way where everyone wins by you taking the time to actually turn what you've experienced in your life as an expert into a product, which is a signature talk that works for others. Okay. And so with that said, I want to conclude by reiterating again that I would love to be able to have many of you at the intensive on Saturday. It's going to be this Saturday for 3 hours. We're going to sit down together and we're going to get your signature talk created. Okay. It's going to help you to be able to get out there to the market. And the reason why it's 3 hours, because we're going to take 2 hours to do your signature talk and about 1 hour to help you apply that in a proposal format to institutional buyers, so that way you can start seeing results as soon as possible. Okay. And so that is my invitation to you all. The links is in the comments for you to join. So thank you so much. I mean, today was day 2 of, the Paid Speaker Business Accelerator. This conversation will be on live for 24 hours and it will go down. VIP guests will get the replays, and definitely after this session. But essentially, again, today was all about, your product, how to actually create a signature talk and how to do that. And the framework around doing that, okay? I'm going to say it's 3 things. The first thing that we teach people at the Paid Speaker Accelerator program is we make you list all the different topics that you believe that you're confident to speak on. So on average, people usually jot down, and this is free form for 10 minutes. We just do that. We no debate, no interruptions. Usually people write down around 10 to 15 different topics that they could confidently speak on. Okay. Rarely do I see people put less. It's because we're so versatile. Some people say, I could talk about motherhood. I could talk about entrepreneurship. They put everything down. And then we're like, okay, out of those 15 topics, which circle the ones that people have actually come to you for, because we're trying to, there's a Venn diagram structure that we have. We're trying to find the sweet spot between what you're good at speaking that you feel internally and what people actually come to you for, and see where does it meet in the middle. And usually on average, out of those 10 to 15 topics, they probably will circle about 7 or 8. Some people maybe just 3. And from there, then the third layer, what we do is, okay, so if we were to have a conversation, like what is it about these topics? Which one triggers you? Which one incites an issue? And then what we do is like, give me a story about each topic. So let's say you went from 10 to 15 topics of entrepreneurship, leadership, personal development. Then you pick 7 that people have said that they want to talk to you about. And then, okay, out of those 7, give me a story that you recall. So somebody might say like, oh, well, I remember, giving birth, and this is what I did, as a mother, this and third. And they give me different stories, right? Once you are able to share different stories, you realize there's certain topics that have more of a trigger that comes out of you that really resonates, that led you to an epiphany. And those are usually the best hallmarks of a signature talk, because there's something that's, really coming from the gut that's pulling you forward when it comes to this conversation. And from there, we narrow down to one signature talk that we could speak on, and then we elaborate on how do we now position that for the market. So we think about the title, we think about the description, we think about the ROI, and we completely leverage all your inner experiences to really build and build and build and build till you walk out with a signature talk that brings promise. And of course, we'll talk about the PowerPoint structure, how to deliver it. But the point is that the topic and the description and the conversation is ready to go because we went through the step-by-step structure to be able to think about what your signature talk will entail. Okay. So with that said, this is the procedure that we're going to experience this Saturday, where we're going to walk you through those 5 different layers, where the first layer is like, okay, jot down everything. What do you want to speak on? Second layer, what do people come to you for? Third layer, which one triggers you? What stories do you have about the ones that are left? And then with that, we pick one and then we take it from there and we go deep into, what was the epiphany? What was the timeline? How did you get to this conclusion? What framework do you have around this? What is your life lesson for them? What is the outcome? Because it grounds the thought leadership when you have something grounding and experience that's tied to it. And then you have your signature talk. Okay. So that is the procedure that we undergo when it comes to, having that brand authenticity on call at the product level and be able to put it out there. So with that said, tomorrow, we're going to have the last day of the session. We're going to go over how to actually build brand authority, so you're top of mind for institutional clients. The most important outcome for tomorrow is to make sure that you stop chasing event organizers and start becoming a magnet for institutional, corporate, and academic decision makers. That is by far my best, gift to you, is to show you how to kind of reposition your personal brand for institutional clients when it comes to paid speaking engagement. So I'm looking forward to that. That will be live tomorrow. And again, this conversation today will be live for 24 hours. And then tomorrow we'll move on for the last day. Those of you who are in the VIP, of course, you will be able to have the bonus session on Friday. So not to worry, you'll get the links for that. But if this was helpful to you, definitely give me some love in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. I always go back to answer those questions. I want to again remind you that doors open today for you to be able to have access to the workshop intensive. Look at the link in the comments for access to that on Saturday. And of course, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. At the end of the day, my goal here is to really get more diverse speakers on global stages. I really believe that we have such a vast array of really great influencers, and like powerful leaders that need to get their stories and their expertise and their leadership out there. And I cannot stress enough, for one, I'm tired of seeing the same speakers on stages. Even myself, and I believe there's a space for everyone. There's not enough speakers in the world for the conversations that need to be had. If you are holding back for any reason, I'm telling you, the market does need you. And my mission with this bootcamp has always been to just open up your eyes as entrepreneurs to the vast potential of impact you can make as a global speaker, the audiences that you could serve, the audiences that you could reach, and to go for it. And to go for it in a way that's strategic, so that way you don't burn out your potential, but also that you could come prepared and come to deliver valuable insight and valuable knowledge to audiences around the world that never saw you coming, right? And so with that said, I want to thank you for day 2 of the Paid Speaker Business Accelerator. My name is Christina and Tim. This is literally day 2 of a 3-day program to help you get on global stages and leave a legacy of impact with every word you speak. Thank you so much for another phenomenal day. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Over and out. Let's go get them.
But this world, as big as it is, one person can be the tipper scale to really create a domino effect that no one ever seen coming. I would like to remind people there's going to be a lot of people that's